Let's be honest, rising gas prices aren't the only reason your fuel bills keep ballooning. In reality, billions of dollars are wasted every year by American drivers, and most of them don't even realize it. And here's the interesting part. Just applying one of these tips can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars per year. Let's be frank for a moment. Most of us, when we get to the gas station, like to squeeze the handle all the way to feel like we're pumping gas faster. But news flash for you, this is actually one of the ways you're silently throwing money out the window without even knowing it. Here's a fun fact. Each time you pump fast, you can lose 2 to 6% of actual fuel. Don't believe it? Let us explain. When you pump gas too quickly, turbulence forms in the nozzle, creating countless tiny bubbles and vapor pockets. This is the phantom part that the pump still counts as fuel. The problem is that these bubbles evaporate before they reach the tank, meaning you're paying for air. On the other hand, when you pump slowly, the fuel stays dense and stable. Bubbles are greatly reduced, and the meter reflects the actual amount of gas more accurately. Extra time lost? Only about 20-30 seconds per fill, a tiny trade-off compared to the money you save. Financially, one fast fill can make you lose 1 to 2 gallons of fuel per tank, which is about $50–100 per year for the average driver. Compared to a few seconds saved, rushing at the pump is far more expensive than you might think. Besides saving money, pumping slower also keeps the fuel cooler and more stable, reduces evaporation, and puts less stress on the nozzle and station mechanisms, increasing the lifespan of the equipment. So next time you hit the gas station, pump a little slower. You'll get the full amount of fuel, save money, and only lose a few extra seconds. Simple, effective, and effortless. More expensive doesn't always mean better. We're pretty sure that many people out there, and maybe even you watching this video, have thought that way when buying things. And it seems this idea also applies to gasoline. But let us tell you, more expensive doesn't always mean better. If your car doesn't require premium, buying it is literally throwing money out the window. So how do you know what type of fuel your car actually needs? It's simple. Look at the octane rating. Many people mistakenly think that a higher number and the premium label automatically means better fuel and buy it without thinking. However, that number only measures knock resistance, not ultimate power or super engine cleaning. Cars designed for regular gas have their ECU and ignition system optimized for it. Filling premium in that car doesn't improve performance, doesn't increase MPG, and doesn't clean the engine better. In some cases, premium can even slightly reduce combustion efficiency because the fuel pattern doesn't match the ECU. In other words, the real benefit of premium fuel only applies to cars that need it. High-compression engines, turbocharged engines, or when explicitly required by the manufacturer. Gas stations are quietly laughing when you choose premium. The profit margin on premium fuel is usually 20–30% higher than regular, and they don't hesitate to emphasize premium is better to get you to spend more. On average, you pay an extra $0.51 per gallon. With 1,215 gallons per fill-up, a few times a month, the wasted amount can reach $100–200 per year per driver. All because of a simple misconception. According to AAA, 16.5 million American drivers use premium fuel unnecessarily. Nationwide, the total wasted money exceeds $2 billion per year. That number alone is enough to make anyone ask, am I just a cash cow for gas stations without even realizing it? If one day you go to fill up and see a delivery truck topping off the underground tanks, you might want to wait or find another station. Why? When fuel in the tank gets stirred up, sediment, rust, ethanol residue, and tiny metal particles from the bottom mix into the new fuel, and you're the one who ends up paying the price. The mechanism is simple but not widely known. Underground tanks hold thousands of gallons of fuel, and over time, sediment settles at the bottom. When the truck refills the tank, the new fuel mixes vigorously with the settled layer, increasing sediment concentration by up to 400% for several hours. The result? You fill your tank, but the gas inside isn't entirely pure. Your engine has to work harder, burns fuel less efficiently, and MPG drops. Stress on injectors and the fuel pump also increases. meaning more engine wear, reduced equipment lifespan, and higher maintenance costs. In other words, you're essentially paying full price for lower quality fuel, wasting money just because you chose the wrong timing. A little rush, a few seconds saved at the pump, can cost you tens of dollars over the year, not to mention potential maintenance costs. Petroleum engineers confirm that fuel quality is seriously affected for several hours after a delivery truck leaves the station. Gas stations, of course, won't tell you to wait. They want fast turnover, constant customers, and higher profits. So what should you do? We recommend waiting a few hours after the delivery truck leaves. Sediment will settle, fuel will stabilize, you get clean fuel, better combustion efficiency, higher MPG, and less engine wear. You save money, protect your car, and most importantly, you no longer feel tricked by the gas station. Many American drivers often overlook seemingly small things like the air filter or engine sensors. But these small details quietly drain your MPG without you even realizing it. Start with the air filter. When it's dirty, the amount of air entering the engine is restricted. To compensate, the engine has to enrich the fuel mixture, meaning it burns more fuel just to maintain power. The result is MPG can drop by up to 10%, especially in older or long-used vehicles. This also puts stress on spark plugs, O2 sensors, and the catalytic converter. A simple way to check? Hold the filter up to the light. If light can't pass through, it's time to replace it. A small action, but a big impact. Engine sensors are just as important. A dirty oxygen sensor, or mass airflow (MAF) sensor, causes the ECU to miscalculate fuel, leading the engine to run with a rich mixture. This can reduce MPG by 15 to 20% without you noticing, since most vehicles won't trigger a warning light immediately. A dirty MAF sensor means you burn more fuel, increasing gas costs while engine efficiency drops. The solution? Regularly clean the MAF sensor and replace O2 sensors as needed. You'll see performance improve immediately. A dirty air filter or sensor can cost you $100 to $300 per year, depending on your driving habits. Proper maintenance not only saves fuel money, but also extends engine life and reduces long-term repair costs. So next time you pop the hood, spend a few minutes checking your air filter and sensors. It's a simple but extremely effective step to protect your car. Most American drivers are used to skipping what seems like a minor task, regularly checking tire pressure. But in reality, underinflated tires quietly steal money from your wallet with every mile you drive. Underinflated tires can silently reduce your fuel economy by up to 3% per mile. That may not sound like much, but over months, you're wasting fuel most drivers don't even notice. Underinflated tires increase rolling resistance, forcing the engine to work harder just to move the vehicle. This can reduce MPG by up to 3% per underinflated tire. The effect is even more noticeable in SUVs and light trucks, where the heavier weight makes rolling resistance more significant. Here's a fun fact. The recommended tire pressure listed on your car door assumes a full load, 5 people with luggage. If you're driving with fewer passengers, inflating 1 to 2 psi higher can reduce rolling resistance and immediately optimize MPG. So, underinflated tires and incorrect pressure can cost you $50 to $100 per year, depending on usage. Checking and inflating your tires takes only a few minutes per month, costs almost nothing, but the benefits in MPG and fuel savings are immediate. Want to avoid this? It's simple. Check your tire pressure at least once a month, especially when temperatures change as tires expand and contract with heat. Next time you glance at your gauge, take a few minutes to inflate your tires properly. A small action, a few minutes, but the effect on efficiency is immediately clear. Be honest, you've probably hopped in your car just to drive 1 to 2 miles for coffee, then drove a few more minutes to hit another stop. That habit seems harmless, maybe even time-saving, until you realize it's quietly stealing your gas money. Do you know why? It's because a cold engine doesn't run like a warm engine. When the engine hasn't reached operating temperature, the engine control unit, or ECU, adds extra fuel into the combustion chamber to prevent stalling and shaking. That is, the engine drinks more gas just to reach normal running conditions. At the same time, the catalytic converter isn't hot enough to operate efficiently, So emissions rise while combustion efficiency drops. The result is a vicious cycle. Cold engine, ECU enriches fuel mixture, more fuel wasted, MPG drops. Short trips of 1 to 3 miles don't give the engine a chance to reach 190 to 120 degrees Celsius, which means your car almost never gets warm enough to run efficiently. Repeated short trips can increase fuel consumption by 20–30% compared to an equivalent distance on a longer drive. If you commute in the city, stuck in traffic, stop and go every day, these numbers aren't just estimates, they're real money poured into the tank. And if you think only gas is lost, remember the long-term effects: carbon buildup, oil dilution, stress on the ignition system, and starter. All things that will cost you more in maintenance later. Combine errands, plan your trips wisely, and change how you drive when the engine is cold to avoid this mistake. Instead of making 3 short trips a day, consolidate them into 1. Instead of flooring the gas as if racing, drive gently until the engine warms up. This not only reduces the number of cold starts, but also helps the engine reach operating temperature faster without wasting extra fuel. What makes this story both funny and frustrating is that most drivers don't realize they're paying extra at the pump just because they're too lazy to clean out the trunk. That's right, old hiking boots, a few gym bags you meant to use but never did, a 3-year-old emergency kit you haven't opened. All of it sits in your car as if it weighs nothing, but every month it costs you a few extra bucks at the gas station. And trust us, gas stations have no problem with that. You spend more fuel, they profit more. The reason is simple and undeniable. A heavier car makes the engine work harder to move it. Every 100 pounds of extra weight costs 1 to 2% of your MPG. No miracles, no exceptions. Physics always wins, whether you like it or not. And the roof box? That's another culprit. More sophisticated, more expensive, and most Americans overlook it. Unlike weight, a roof box reduces MPG by disrupting airflow and creating drag. On the highway, it can cost you 10 to 15% of fuel economy. So how much are you losing each year? Quite a bit. For many people, just extra weight and a roof box can cost $50 to $200 annually in fuel. And that's just gas. This doesn't include long-term wear and tear, added stress on the drivetrain, or the engine working harder than necessary. The most important point, all of this waste can disappear in less than 10 minutes. To avoid repeating this mistake, just follow what your mom told you as a kid. Clean up after yourself. Get rid of things you don't need, or simply leave them at home. And the roof box? If you're not using it, take it off. A little cleanup can lighten your car, saving you a significant amount of money on fuel. Oil is just oil. Just pour any type in as long as the car runs. That thinking could be your car's downfall. Too thick oil, also called high viscosity, makes the engine fight against the very fluid that's supposed to protect it. Friction increases everywhere, from the crankshaft and camshaft to the bearings. The engine has to work harder with every rotation, and that directly costs you 2 to 5% MPG just because you chose the wrong oil. Even worse, in cold conditions, thick oil flows like honey, making the engine struggle even more to start and run normally. On the other hand, oil that's too thin doesn't form enough of a protective layer, causing metal components to rub against each other harder. The result? Faster engine wear, reduced performance, and you'll pay cash, sometimes a lot of cash. You see, the wrong viscosity can cost you an extra $20 to $100 per year just on gas, depending on your car and mileage. That's not even counting engine repair costs, which can easily reach $1,000, $3,000, or even $7,000 if you get really unlucky. If you want to know the correct viscosity for your car, just open the owner's manual and check the recommended oil grade. Not hard, doesn't take much time, and you don't need to be a mechanic to understand it. If you live in extreme cold or heat, use the oil type recommended for those conditions. That's the easiest way to reduce friction, protect the engine, and keep your MPG optimal. Changing oil on schedule is just as important. A car running on old oil is like trying to run a marathon with lungs full of smoke. Many American drivers have a habit of blaming everything when their car starts drinking more gas. The car is old, traffic is heavy, it's cold outside, or even that the manufacturer designed the engine poorly. But the thing quietly draining money from your wallet every week isn't in the engine, isn't in the ECU, and isn't the manufacturer's fault. It's right under your gas cap. A tiny detail no one thinks about, but it can cost you 2.3% mpg. When the gas cap isn't sealed, fuel vapors start escaping. Modern cars use the EVAP system to capture these vapors, but when EVAP detects a leak, it has to adjust to maintain stable pressure and fuel in the system. That adjustment means making the fuel mixture richer. Simply put, gas vapors escape, EVAP compensates, engine burns more fuel. All because the gas cap isn't doing its job. If the leak is larger, it's no longer just an MPG issue. Emissions rise, the EVAP system wears out faster, and the engine has to operate under less than optimal conditions. The moral of the story here: check your gas cap regularly. Tighten it. Make sure it still seals. If it's old, chipped, or no longer locks properly, replace it immediately. Otherwise, you'll pay the price. Most modern cars hit their speed sweet spot between 45–60 mph. Within this range, the engine, transmission, and aerodynamic drag work together perfectly to make the car run most efficiently. Go beyond that, and everything changes quickly. Air resistance increases exponentially, and the engine has to burn extra fuel just to fight against an invisible wall of wind. SUVs, crossovers, and pickups, the beloved vehicles of Americans, are hit the hardest. The bigger the vehicle and the larger the front area, the higher the drag, and the faster your gas money disappears, right along with your speed. And the sad part? This all happens on the highway, the place you probably think you're saving fuel. So what should you do in this case? Drive a little slower, dropping from 75 to 65 mph. Instant MPG improvement, using cruise control. Maintaining a steady speed and avoiding constant acceleration and deceleration also saves fuel. Easier than you think, right? If you apply all 10 tips we've shared, you can save hundreds, even thousands of dollars per year, just by driving smart and maintaining your car properly. If you found these tips helpful, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment to tell us which secret surprised you the most. Lastly, notice that the content in this video is based on publicly available information, vehicle manuals, and automotive studies. It is intended for educational and informational purposes only, not to promote any specific brand or product. Viewers should always cross-check information, follow manufacturer recommendations, and make their own informed decisions when it comes to vehicle maintenance. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.